Down the Lens Podcast. Down the Lens Podcast.
But in the back of my head, I was just like, I could work for myself. Because that's ultimately what the goal always was.
Yeah.
It was always to, even growing up as a kid, I always kind of thought I want to work for myself. I had no idea what I was going to be.
I've always had that kind of
Yeah.
itch. Like, you think, like, I want to be self-employed, entrepreneur, I have my own business, but you just don't know what it's going to be.
It's just like such a, I don't know, it's just such a move, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, especially, it's like a flex on the rest of the family. It's like a flex to your friends. It's just wicked, isn't it? To think like, you're your boss. That's the best feeling to have, is, you know, when you're looking down the camera and you get that just that feeling. I don't know how you explain it. It's not butterflies.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
just know the
like
composition's
just,
right, the lighting's sick. You might have just had like a lens flare and then you're like, oh, yes.
That's it. And I think if you're in that position where you're getting that feeling from the stuff you're making and you're excited to go home and look at it, then you're doing it right.
Yeah. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Hey, mate. You okay?
Yeah, good. Nice to meet you.
And you, yeah. Likewise.
How's things?
Good, yeah. As I was kind of just saying, I'm not usually the type of person to stress at all. Coming on a podcast is probably the most stressful thing ever to me.
Well, obviously, we've never met before, so obviously the initial thing, but we seem like we're both nice, sociable guys. Why is it just like the fact that you're in front of the camera for a change?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been in in front of the camera a couple of times in the past, but yeah, I don't know. I guess there's just people are seeing you, and they,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They're actually realising what you're going to be like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So for people who don't know you, where are you from? What do you do? Like, give us a little bit of background so people can get to know you before we get into the depths of the conversation.
Sweet. So Tom Parsons, the name, but middle name is Lee, so we kind of ignore that and we just go with Tom Lee for everything. Short and sweet. From the Valleys, working in Cardiff for basically all of my kind of work life outside of kind of uni and stuff. Was doing that for a few years, and my career was really short. What
was your career in initially?
So, kind of, I don't know how far back we want to go with it, but
professional career, not technically, because obviously at the moment you're a content creator, you produce, cinematographer, that kind of stuff. But kind of, before you started getting into that, what was your initial?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with uni quickly, just because it gives kind of context.
Yeah.
In uni, I studied visual effects and motion graphics.
Right, okay, nice.
Kind of seen myself becoming a VFX artist for ideally feature films. Cut long story short, done it 3 years, got the first, gonna flex there, got the first, thank you. And spent some time in London, realised that actually I would absolutely hate it.
Right, okay.
And this was like right at the end.
So did you get a job straight out of uni to go to London, or?
No. So I done, it was for like one of my final projects in uni, but basically they wanted us to go and like kind of experience. It wasn't necessarily work experience, but it was just.
Was it a work placement?
Yeah. Well, no, it was. They wanted us to. What did they want us to do? They wanted us to like get some information from people in the industry.
Right. Okay.
It was really strange, but anyway. So yeah, ended up in London for like, I think it was like a couple of days. It was really short, and yeah, while I was in London, I went in this office, met this guy that worked on like all the big like Marvel films and all this like really cool stuff. And
I bet that was sick to see though. Like, learn about it.
It was, until you kind of
realize how much work had to go into it.
No, you go through the doors and the offices are just pitch black. Because I'd never even considered this, right?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to consider it, so you're going to tell me now, I'm sure.
All of their blinds are closed because they can't have photographers in buildings opposite taking pictures of them working on new films.
For that reason, I thought it'd be so they can see the screens better and obviously they can edit to their full potential.
It's literally the most like, it sounds bad to say, but it's quite depressing for someone like me at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm such an outgoing person, such an outdoorsy person, to then be sat in an office like in the pitch black. Not pitch black, but you get the idea. It's like office lights and like it's just gross. And yeah, I asked him. I was like, can't you open any of the blinds? And they said, no. It's like there's 365 days a year.
That's mental. So how old were you when you done that?
What would I have been? Left uni at 19, was it? 20?
And how old are you now?
25 now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, left uni at 19. I think it was 19. And yeah, while I was in uni though, my kind of first taste this kind of life or whatever was the fact that for all my projects, I was putting more effort into the visual side of it rather than the editing side. So all my projects, I was always kind of trying to, even if the brief, necessarily wasn't like, oh, go and film something, I would kind of try and make it that way.
About filmmaking.
I remember like I'm always trying to pick up a camera and just try and push it in the direction, that was kind of cinematography, videography. And so anyway, flew through uni, done that, realized then that actually wasn't gonna, use that degree. While I was in my last year of uni, I managed to do a bit of, sorry. You have to think this, right? But
I'm leaving it all in.
No, that's the bit I didn't like. Basically, I was kind of on an Instagram career path at the same time.
Influencer, was you? Like a content influencer, was you?
No, basically, I was like, like the classic travel influence. Like,
so you're already creating content at this point then?
Yes, but behind the scenes, kind of on an account that I don't use anymore. And people who know me will rinse me for bringing it up because it was like the classic. Get in the
comments.
Tom would always bring it up. But yeah, so I had an Instagram account where I would go to London and basically just shoot London, really grungy style. Photography.
Right.
And that gained quite a lot of traction. So I ended up building that up to about 15,000 followers, something like that. Worked with Canon, Panasonic, some big influencers like Sawyer Hartman. I don't know whether you know who he is. Yeah, Sawyer Hartman. Won a competition with him, and then kind of that gained a lot of traction. So anyway, that was moving, and in the background I was doing uni and all these different things together. I had a little taste of what it would be like to kind of,
be in that kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, basically. And I mean, it was buzzing as well because you kind of start to...
Well, you're young then. You've got no responsibilities. It's just you and the world in front of you.
Literally. Yeah. So I was doing that. Because of that scene, I had a few other friends that I kind of knew through Instagram that actually had proper jobs.
Yeah.
One of those ones was Steph Mitchell. Going to give him a shout out. He was working at a company called S3. And S3.
Were they based in Cardiff?
They were.
They're no longer...
Yeah, that's right.
I've done drone work for them back in the past.
Did you?
Yeah. It was S3's client, but then they outsourced to a videographer, which I knew, but then they wanted drone footage. So I was like the third outsourced person from them, if that makes sense.
How long ago was that?
This was maybe 2 years ago. It was for Visit South Wales when they done the...
I would have been working on that.
Aberdare, the mountain, the mountain thing.
I know which one you're on about.
So I shot only the drone footage for that.
Wow.
Only the drone footage.
Well, that's it. So the other person working on that would have been... Harrison, yeah, nice.
And I've worked with Harrison a number of times. I'm trying to get him on here.
Yeah.
He's a little pussy. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to say.
I'm doing it. You have to.
Yeah. So you know Harrison then?
I don't know Harrison directly. But, it sounds thing, but at that point, this was 2 years ago, so this was like kind of right at the end of S3. I was doing a lot. But everyone was doing just a lot. So
what were you working for S3 or you just knew someone who worked there?
No, sorry, yeah. So I, just very quickly, Steph was working at S3. He was like, oh, you should come in.
S3's like a creative agency.
Yeah, they were a creative agency for advertising. And yeah, so he was like, you should come in. They do internships. And he was like, you'd be good at it. So I went in, done the internship, and I get pulled into a boardroom with all the kind of main guys there, and they said, yep, you've got, we like your stuff, but we don't need a videographer. I remember that's what they said to me. We like your stuff and we'd like to hire you, but we don't need a videographer.
Which is what you wanted to do.
At this point, yeah. And then they brought up the old visual effects degree and said, but we did, you can do visual effects. At this point, there was one other person on the team that was doing some visual effects, because I don't think there was a massive demand at the time. But yeah, so... basically, I was then challenged for another 2 hours to come up with some visual effects piece of work.
Get their money's worth out of you then.
Oh mate, yeah, they proper use my time. It was mental. And if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have been there. Do you know what I mean? But as a student, you just kind of think,
go with.
I want to get the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, another 2 hours later, I come up with this piece of work. It was a photo for a brand that basically they wanted to see if I could create a photo that looked photorealistic out of CGI or visual effects, whatever. And yeah, I done that. I remember presenting it to the owner at the time, and I remember showing him the photo and him going, "Great, so where's your piece of work?" And I go, "Oh no, that is my work. Like that, you know, I made that." Yeah, he thought it was a photo, which I was like, "I've nailed this." Do you know what I mean? Like what he doesn't realize is about half hour before that, I was fully headset on in YouTube going, "How to model this?" Like, because I just
watching.
I forgot.
You've never done it. Well,
I had done it. But what we was doing in uni wasn't like photorealism.
Yeah.
It wasn't that type of thing. It was just like...
Was it more for like the films and stuff like that, the CGI kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's like adding a background that's out of focus to a video, you know, a picture that's already nice. Do you know what I mean? It's like little things like that. So then to create something completely from scratch was just like, yeah, we'd never do that. But anyway, I done it, got the job, and then literally the day I left uni... Well, the following day after uni, I went and worked for S3 and was there for 3 years. Yeah, it was a fun place to work. Then obviously like a few things changed and it just got to a place where like it just wasn't the same anymore. I think a lot of people clocked off quite quickly, you know. And then yeah, we all kind of tried to keep going. It's funny because there was a period of like 2-3 weeks before the company like officially ended. And everyone like knew the company was ending.
It was going.
I was just fully there going, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
I'll be the one man band here on this computer.
Genuinely, like I was just like, do you know what? Like, it just won't end. And I thought I'll be fine. Bear in mind at this point, I had no LinkedIn presence, no social media presence really, because I didn't no longer use my
photography,
Instagram account. My personal account, to be fair, still quite similar, but was just like a personal account. It was basically just me like enjoying my life. And everyone was telling me, Tom, you should
start looking.
You should start posting on LinkedIn and start like CV kind of there. Putting your work out there. I was like, nah, it's fine. Like, you know, we'll be sound now. Then suddenly it was like, at this time I was shooting weddings on the side.
Right, okay.
So I did get involved with some weddings. I was doing probably about 10-15 a year maybe on the side.
Oh well, a few. That's
I was doing a lot, but no, I was like second shooting basically.
Right, okay, yeah.
And yeah, so it was like a nice little bit of kind of pocket change. And would allow me to like buy little things like, you know, a new lens or something every basically. So yeah, I was doing weddings on the side, and I remember waking up one day and I was off. I was on all day, and this would have been the 23rd of December.
Sticks deep in your brain, does it?
Yeah, 23rd of December. I get a call. Well, I get a text from my boss saying you need to be on a video call, and I said, absolutely not. I am on holiday. Like, it's Christmas night, you know, in a couple of days. Like, it's not happening. And I remember him saying, no, you need to be on this video call. And again, I was just so stubborn. I was like, no, I've absolute like. The amount of times I've like done favors and stuff while not working to like, you know, make sure everyone else is like able to carry on with their job. This time I decided to put my foot down. And obviously it was the one time that I shouldn't have put my foot down, basically. I said to him, look, 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock. I said, I can be on a video call, but I can't do any later because I got a wedding to go and shoot. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And that's why I was like, okay, something's not right here. Like, why would he do a video call that early? Basically answered the call, and they said, Tom, as of tomorrow, your job's gone. And I was just like,
fuck.
Okay.
So what was your initial steps after that then?
As I mentioned to you kind of just off camera earlier, I'm very relaxed when it comes to like videography, photography.
So
just like,
did you go Bali for like a year and just chill out?
I wish, mate. God, I could be one of those travel influencers.
Yeah.
No, I actually just decided to enjoy Christmas. I remember, I literally got off the video call, packed all my stuff to leave for the wedding, went into the bedroom and woke up my partner and basically said to her, like, by the way, just lost my job, and
we're gonna have a great Christmas.
Honestly, it was mental, right? Because she woke up and she was like, oh, okay, bye. And then she went,
didn't
wait,
process
what?
It. Yeah.
And she just burst into tears. And I was just like, oh, don't cry. I was it's fine. We are literally fine.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was going to do at this point. Literally just thought to myself, well, you've got like a month worth of money in the bank. Just go and enjoy Christmas. You paid for everything. Fair. Why not? So I took like 2 weeks off, 2-3 weeks off, something like that. I had like a really lengthy Christmas, if you will. And yeah, it was like that kind of the middle of January. I thought, right, I need to figure out what I want to do. Started having interviews with a load of people.
When you say people, were they other agencies or were they? Well, okay.
Yeah. Other big agencies. So, your Golly Slater. Yeah.
I don't know hardly any.
Okay, no. Cool. Yeah.
Literally, I'm so like disconnected from like the mainstream of like content creation in Cardiff. I don't know much about it. I only know of that S3 because I was drafted in to do some drone stuff.
Yeah. That's mad though. It's such a small world. Like I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically interviews with like a lot of the other competitors of S3 at the time.
Right, okay.
Luckily got an offer from every single one of them.
Oh, nice.
So I that eased me a lot because then I was like, okay, I can now take my time to actually think what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I told all of them when I got the offer that I'd like, 2-3 weeks to think about it.
When my start time is kind of thing.
But in the back of my head, I was just like, could go freelance, could work for myself. Because that's ultimately what the goal always was.
Yeah.
It was always even growing up as a kid, I always kind of thought I want to work for myself. I had no idea what I was going to be.
I've always had that kind of itch. Like you think like I want to be self-employed, entrepreneur, I have my own business, but you just don't know what it's going to be.
It's just like such a, I don't know, it's just such a move, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, especially it's like a flex on the rest of the family. It's like a flex to your friends. It's just wicked, isn't it? To think like, you're your boss.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of always been the way driven.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Didn't know what I was going to do. And then this kind of situation unfolds in front of me. Had really good opportunities with probably about 5 different companies.
Nice.
All of them were higher paying salaries as well. Really good situation to be in. And then there I was. 3 months before I bought my home as well.
Right,
and I just had that.
Were you in Cardiff? You in the valleys?
Yeah,
Valleys?
Yeah, Brumau.
Brumau.
Highest town in Wales.
Is it?
Yeah. I think. I'm sure that's right.
Says a lot about the altitude and all you lot are out there.
Mate, to be fair, I'd remember it was snowing where I'd live.
Yeah.
And I'd get a train to Cardiff to go to work and they'd be in t-shirts.
Be a drop. Not even a drop.
Literally, it's crazy. But yeah, so what was I saying then?
So you bought your house. You were making a decision whether you want to go freelance or not.
Yeah, bought my house, lost my job. Better offers on the table.
Hence why the missus was crying, I expect.
Yeah, basically. And then, just decided to risk it all and go freelance.
So what was it? So did you have any credentials by this point? Obviously, you worked for S3, and you said you had this stuff where you were going up to London. And you worked with some influencers, technically.
Yeah.
Did you have any credentials or anything to kind of have a portfolio to go into freelancing, or was it just?
Honestly, not really.
No.
And this is why it was such a risk, and also why all my mates at the time was saying, Tom, you need to start posting about yourself and getting your work out.
And was this before lockdown? No, actually.
No, this would have been after.
After, because I don't work for thing after.
Yeah. So lockdown definitely was part of the reason, maybe why things happened the way they did, but not entirely. So didn't have any credentials, but what I did do was post a big sobby story on LinkedIn saying that I've lost my job and I need some work.
One of my last guests done exactly the same thing,
yep.
And she's absolutely laughing now.
That's it, mate. And that's the thing. I never even used LinkedIn before this.
Yeah, I'm not very good on LinkedIn at all. I put tiny bits up there. Did you have much of a following or anything on LinkedIn or
no?
Literally,
when I say I didn't use it, I probably had less, a handful of people on.
You just had it to have it, like.
Yeah, I had it because people have LinkedIn.
Yeah,
if you work, you got LinkedIn. I never used it. So I put out a little story basically saying I actually rushed the week before I posted. I quickly went on Adobe Portfolio, chucked together a quick website.
Oh, right, you went on there, didn't go for the Squarespace?
Nah, not Squarespace.
Sponsor if they're looking.
Sponsor this man.
Typical creative sponsor.
I very quickly threw together a website and just posted on LinkedIn and was like, look, this is all my work. I've been at
So you did have some work to put out.
Oh, at
What
this
work
point,
did you have
yeah,
to
so
put
at this
out?
point, I had done a load of tourism work for Visit South Wales, Visit Wales.
Through yourself or through...
No, through S3.
You just thought, oh, fuck it,
Oh, yeah,
check
mate,
out
that's
my
my work,
profile.
isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I use that tourism video as my work now because I done the drone work.
Absolutely.
They just don't know any different.
Yeah, and that's it, how I would expect it to be.
Yeah.
Honestly, right? You worked on it. Just if
Chuck
they
it in
ask
there.
you
Yeah.
what part did you work on, then you can
Yeah,
say.
you say, yeah.
But up until that point, if they don't ask, that's their fault.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
so yeah, yeah, I took a load of the work from S3 because also I'd done some pretty big things there. Like I was building my career quite well there. I ended up directing DOP in TV ads. So I kind of, definitely progressed in terms of being a videographer to say a cinematographer,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Which I think there is a big distinctive difference there. Yeah. So
You
done
took the
that.
plunge, got your website up, jumped on LinkedIn.
And January was the busiest work month of my entire life.
In what way? Meetings, or actually you physically got booked and was...
Meetings, and then February was work. Just
Nice.
like shoot after shoot
Sounds
after
like I
shoot.
need to do this LinkedIn crying, breaking down thing.
Oh, mate, do it. Absolutely. I mean...
So the people that got in touch with you, were they already, you know, I don't know what it is on LinkedIn, but were they already following on LinkedIn, or were they kind of, how did they find you? Do you know? Did you ever find out?
I think a lot of it is people who knew me would also share.
Right.
And the minute it starts to gain traction, I think it starts popping up on other people's feeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just started. Honestly, I think I had probably like 100 odd likes on it or something, which, you know, considering I never used it.
Yeah,
I was
it was
like,
good going.
What's going on? Do you know what I mean? Loads of comments, people saying, oh, we want to help, and, you know, we need a videographer for this, we need a photographer for that. And yeah, at that point, I also decided that a lot of people would decide to niche. And this is
Right,
a
okay.
controversial thing, I think.
Oh, let's go down the rabbit's hole.
I think a lot
I haven't got much of an opinion on it because I'm just more of like, you need to earn bread and butter.
I
But
think
there are some certain people that do very well niching down.
absolutely, and I do not take away from niching at all, and I probably will end up niching.
I'd like to niche.
Yeah.
I think everyone would love to niche.
Yeah.
However, if you're not maybe someone who's well networked or connected or looking for that next, you know, trying to book out your calendars and you haven't got something in the pipeline, you're going to take pretty much what comes your way in some respects.
Yeah, I also think though it depends on the type of person you are, because if you're someone like me, I get so bored of things so quickly that actually non-niching in a specific thing keeps it fresh.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think, well, I was doing the kind of same thing for ages. I've always thought I'd do like the, say travel thing, but I find it hard to do the travel thing in Wales. Obviously, there's plenty of things to do, but obviously if you've got the gig for visit Wales, then I'm not going to get the gig for that. So then where do I go? But one of the favourite things I've ever done, I've always been chasing to try and do before, is filming like a music gig at the Tram Shed in Cardiff.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely freaking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
It wasn't necessarily maybe the actual experience. Well, the experience was really good, but or like the actual filming a gig. It was more looking through the camera and seeing the shots I was capturing. That's what got me like excited, and I was like buzzing to go home and like just see it on like, you know, blown up on the laptop. That's what really excited me about it, because you go to these shoots and you might just be doing like a property video, you might just do like a local band or something. But then when you go and actually do it on a full stage with like, I don't know, a crowd of like 1,000, and it's got professional lighting, it's a proper gig, people have paid to see it. Obviously, that side of the lens on the other side is going to be professional lighting, professional sound. And then obviously that in some respects is going to make your footage even look more professional. You're not just doing a kind of...
Yeah, that's the best feeling to have. Is you know, when you're looking down the camera and you get that feeling. I don't know how you explain it. It's not butterflies.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
just know
anything
the
like
composition's
just,
right, the lighting's sick.
Yeah.
You might have just had like a lens flare and then you're like, oh, yes,
that's it.
get
And
in.
I think if you're in that position where you're getting that feeling from the stuff you're making and you're excited to go home and look at it, then you're doing it right.
Yeah.
You know, where even if it's not necessarily in the niche you want it to be or
No.
whatever. It's definitely the case that some people like to niche, some people don't.
Do you like to niche? Well, you said you get bored of certain things, but do you find yourself shooting more content in one specific industry than you do in another?
Yeah. Yes and no. The thing is, and the hard truth of like freelancing is that corporate stuff pays.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally as simple as that. The corporate work is what keeps the business running. And then the work that you see on everyone's Instagrams and whatnot is the stuff that's fun and the stuff that they want you to see.
Yeah.
You know, especially for me, for example. Yeah. And I think a lot of people as well that I know that also kind of do the same thing. Yeah, like corporate stuff pays and they're good clients to have and they are the backbone to being a freelancer. They're also like the reason I don't stress every month that I'm gonna pay.
Where'd you get your corporate clients from? Are they South Wales based, or like?
So a lot of it's all Wales. Well, a lot of it's Wales. Some up in London. But the majority for me is Wales, and it's a lot of like Welsh Gov stuff.
Yeah, because I think I come across you. I think you were doing Welsh Gov. Was it the other day? You worked with someone on something for Welsh Gov. I swear it's on your story. Anyway, I'll try and find it. And
yeah, I can't think now. I don't know. I post so much rubbish on there.
So how'd you get into Welsh Gov stuff?
Agencies. So that's like, I guess, another.
So what? That was for your LinkedIn, and then obviously someone maybe that worked for one agency saw it, and then another.
Yeah, somewhat LinkedIn. I will admit that I'm still absolutely awful at using LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't do it enough. Considering our jobs are literally to advertise people, and you know,
don't advertise yourself at the same.
Oh my god, I'm awful at it, and yeah, I think
the only way I think we advertise ourselves is by putting out our content, but then we kind of expect people to go, oh, actually, yeah, we'll drop him a message, but it never fucking happens.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I think the only way I advertise myself is doing behind the scenes.
Right, okay.
You know, like, and I post the odd shoot here and there if I feel like it, or if I
literally just do a picture of like my setup for the day and put shoot today, and that's it.
That's literally it though, and that's it, because that's all the time we've got as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. That's the excuse I tell myself. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, I'm there doing a job. I very rarely think to actually try and sell myself as well. It's so many things to juggle. And there's people out there that are amazing at it. I know a lot of people that sell themselves so well. Content creators. Yeah. They smash it.
Oh yeah, they're sick.
They're
very hot on this podcast.
Good guys to work with as well.
Oh, you work with them, yeah?
I work with them.
I haven't worked with them. I'd like to work with them. I also want to get them on at some point, but yeah, they do it very well, because they do behind the scenes, but you just see regular bits up on their story, don't you? Just like little selfies and stuff.
I will say they're both just absolutely on it when it comes.
So it's just two people, is it?
Yeah. Okay. Giving away too much now. No, but yeah.
So this is about you anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, so some people are really good at it. I'm awful at it. But there's work there. How I get the Welsh Gov stuff purely comes down to me working with agencies, and that just comes from me either knowing people that work at agencies or the odd LinkedIn post.
So do they reach out to you then, say, oh, we like your work, or is it kind of...
Yeah, I'd say I get reached out to the majority of the time.
Nice.
Which is nice. Yeah, it's nice to be that way. I definitely do reach out to some people sometimes.
Do you find it funny? Some months are like completely blank, and then by the end of the month, you've looked at every week and they're just like full.
Yeah, literally. That's like this month now, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, like going into probably about 2 months ago, I was shooting so much to the point where, you know, it was an issue. Like back home, it was literally like, Mrs. wasn't happy with me shooting every day.
You don't spend any time with me.
Literally, because I was just, and the thing is, I clocked, what did I do that month? I think I clocked something like 1,000, just over 1,000 miles, something in the car, in the van. Just because I was driving so many shoots. Yeah. Sorry, I tell a lie, it was a week. I done 800 odd miles in a week.
Nice going.
Yeah, that's good going. Van hates it. But yeah,
you yourself a little media van, have you?
I got myself a little caddy.
Have you?
Yeah.
I want something like that, but I want 5 seats. I'd love a transporter.
I'm actually looking to upgrade mine.
But they're like, what, 20 plus grand? Easy.
Too expensive.
Yeah. Anyway, back to more video kind of stuff. Go off winds. Start talking about
cars and cars.
Start talking about.
Yeah. What was I saying?
you're talking about, obviously, you were doing a bunch of miles, you're clocking in,
working absolutely
Yeah.
loads. Calendar was rammed to the point where it actually affected like the admin side of the business. Couldn't even reply to emails.
Yeah.
Because I would, I'd leave at 6 a.m, get home at like 11, 12 at night. I'd try and edit while also doing that. It drained, just absolutely drained me. Some months are like that, which is why I'm happy to do it, because then you might get another month which is like super chill and a bit more chill this month, let's say. And kind of before this, you kind of look at the following months and think, oh no, I need more work, and but then suddenly you're complaining that it's too busy again.
It's hard to describe the feeling, it, unless obviously you're like in the freelance world, you got your own company, but literally you don't see anything in your calendar. Then all of a sudden you're like, I'm sweating trying to think, how am I going to manage all this time? Because then people, especially some of the content I deliver, it might be for social content, so they might need it relatively fast, or they've got a launch day coming up and they need that content for that specific date. And then literally you're sweating because you've got to do 5 client edits within 3 days time. It's just like, how do you prioritize? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess I've definitely been in that situation where
I'd love to get an editor on.
Yeah. Oh mate, I hate editing.
Because like, even for like this podcast, for example, I saw some. Like, I try and do it kind of what the trends are at the moment, the popping graphics at the bottom and all this malarkey and stuff like that. So I found this editor, asked his prices. I've never outreached to editors before. I kind of know my prices, and I kind of get a gist of other prices within like the industry, but the prices were way too high for me to kind of think, right, this podcast is not making any money. I'm just doing it for purely for networking and meeting people. But it's just trying to, offload that work to then free up your time to do other stuff then at the same time.
Yeah, I was in the same situation where like me and a few mates were looking for an editor. And yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because like you have, your prices, and we're always kind of trying to convince people that our prices are the right thing. And then the minute we contacted editors and got their prices, it was like, whoa, whoa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't know if I can afford that. But actually, I think what it comes down to is whatever the project is, if there's budget there to do it, they probably are going to be beneficial.
Yeah, just my example. Obviously, there's no budget in place for this. So it's just quite hard. But then I kind of need to think, even though I'm not making any money on this, it frees up time to do the other stuff where I am making money. Yeah,
and that is literally the situation that my mate's in at the moment. He's probably going to be spending out of his own pocket, but what that'll allow him to do is do more, which actually will end up making more.
Yeah, it's hard to like differentiate and like draw the line basically, because theoretically most creators, whether they be like photographers or videographers, whatever, you're making more money during the actual shoot than you are when you're at home editing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's much more reasonable, more plausible, and more sensible for you to be out in the field, press the record button, than it is to be sat behind the computer actually editing it.
Yeah, and also I think it comes back to just doing more of what you enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Like personally, it's a bit hypocritical for me because I literally got a degree in editing. I just don't enjoy it.
No. Don't enjoy editing at all, or you just
I don't enjoy editing the projects that I'm not like super involved, like
the
super
ones
convinced.
The project you're just taking because you need to obviously pay your bills.
Literally, yeah, exactly. I've got things happening in the background at the moment where I'm doing projects that maybe are a bit more fun. Would love to edit them. Do you know what I mean? Because they're passion projects. I think the editing thing, it all comes down to just whether you're working on a project that you absolutely love, or whether it's just getting it done so that.
So what's some of the content that you've shot that you're really proud of and you've loved from beginning process all the way through to editing and delivering?
Oh, good question. Good question. What have I worked on? I think a lot of the tourism stuff I really enjoyed. Didn't necessarily do a lot of the heavy editing on that because at the time there was a bigger team, but really enjoyed that stuff. I think as a freelancer now, I have actually taken quite a few of my corporate client work, if you will, and tried to make it a bit more fun.
I'd like to see that because I've got a corporate client coming up soon and I want to spice it up a bit more. Something that I would like to use on a portfolio, but it doesn't look like your standard corporate stuff.
Yeah. I done one up in North Wales for a company that was like a food wholesaler. And again, it's one of those ones where you're like, what's this going to be? Do you know what I mean? Just kind of get it done. But actually, the day started to unfold, and I was throwing ideas out there. The guy I was working with was throwing ideas out, and we was just both like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Ended up getting the drone up, ended up running around with a gimbal, just doing a load of stuff. I ended up sitting on the back of a golf buggy, filming like one of the vehicles driving. It was just like,
quite sick,
it was wicked. Like,
yeah, that sounds, unfortunately, the corporate job I got is up in Milton Keynes. I say unfortunately, obviously, it's fine paying me or whatever. But it's just like a general conference.
Right, okay.
Like, there's a big screen, advertising on the background. Someone stands on a podium. They do like a talk for like half an hour. Then the next person goes. Then they do like a panel thing. So it's quite like your standard corporate stuff.
I guess
but I'm just trying to look to spice it up.
Yeah, I guess in that situation, I don't know what you've obviously like kind of agreed to do with them, but
it's just a general day recap.
Yeah, I'd say keep it short, sweet, lots of camera angles, lots of quick cuts. Yeah, I think you don't need to necessarily in that situation show. I don't know, I might be wrong, but you know, if I was approaching that, I'd probably not necessarily like try and include actually what they're saying, but rather the reactions of the audio to the audience to what is being said.
It's usually just a lot of head bobbing.
Yeah. I think I've been in those situations quite a few times, like conferences and stuff, and there's a lot of just waiting for that one person to give you the face that you need.
Yeah.
Just so that you've got it for the edit. Taking a bit of time at the start to kind of spy out the crowd, see which ones are a bit more
smilier,
emotive.
Yeah.
And you kind of automatically fixate to them, I guess. I'd say just quick cuts, get a good trendy track on there.
Yeah, it's always a good one. What do you use for your audio?
Artlist.
Oh, you're an Artlist. I think you're the third person you know.
Yeah,
Artlist.
what do you use?
Epidemic.
Epidemic.
What's with for the audio listeners, a big eye roll then. What do you not like so much about Epidemic?
No, to be fair, I have nothing against Epidemic. I think they're just more expensive, aren't they?
What, Epidemic?
Yeah.
Artlist is more expensive.
Is it?
Epidemic's £10 a month.
Oh, really?
I only do the personal. I do not do the commercial. I've had no issues. No copyright issues whatsoever when I send it off to the clients.
I think with Epidemic, I just see their adverts all the time.
On
YouTube,
on your typical the people you follow on.
But I'm actually changing from Artlist.
Where are you going to?
Music Bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, starting to use it yesterday actually, for a project, and just could not get the type of track that I wanted with
Artlist.
Yeah, off Artlist, and it's actually one of the problems I seem to have quite often, and one reason why maybe I don't enjoy the editing side of it as much.
So here's a question for you. When it comes down to creating a project, are you a kind of person who finds the audio first and then creates the project around it and edit around it? Or you film, edit, right, let's find a track?
I film first. Because
Same.
what I do find is when I'm filming, especially like events and stuff like that, when I'm filming, I naturally start to imagine an edit in my head.
Right, okay.
And then I try and find the track that goes with the edit that I'm imagining.
I never do that. I always film it first and then find the music that inspires me to edit a certain way.
Oh, okay. No,
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because I'll edit. You obviously edit to the music, but it depends on obviously the music can change every time I'm depending on the edit.
Yeah, I think I definitely when I'm shooting and stuff, I kind of know how the edit's gonna go while I'm filming. And also down to like if I'm doing a talking ed with someone and what they're saying, I can kind of picture, okay, their voice may be a bit more monotone, or they might be quite an outgoing, excitable person. Straight away, I kind of in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I know the track. I'll be filming. The other week I was filming some car stuff
for Land Rover.
No, that was actually the other day.
Was it?
But we'll was filming for Land Rover. Yeah, no, the other week I was filming he wants a name drop, and I really don't want to name drop him, but I was filming with George, some Tesla content.
Is that the guy who needed the editor? Who's the guy?
Yeah. And while I'm filming, I'm literally hanging out the back of the van. I got a harness on. I'm, gimbal out the back of the van. I'm seeing the shots and I'm going, you know what I mean? Because you can I can picture the song. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, like that's just how I kind of work, I guess. That's how my brain's always ticking over.
It's nice. It's good to hear, like, people, obviously everyone's different. Obviously you're completely different to how I would do it. I would just think, oh, this looks sick. Can't wait to see what I can piece together with this.
Yeah.
But where you'll actually imagine the shot in a timeline almost with music alongside it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it does change though. Like, you might be looking for a certain song, and this happened yesterday actually when I was trying to find a track, listening to a certain song, and then I pressed play on something, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, tasty.
Ooh. And then you keep listening, and you're like...
Because you kind of know the shot you've already got in the bank, because you were the one that actually pressed record. So you already know what shots are going to work well with it.
Yeah, that's it. And I wish, AI is getting great now, but I wish there was a way of just being like, I can imagine the edit, just do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because, like you listen to a song and you just instantly know, or I do at least, I know the flow of the video straight away.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes me a while to
get around
to get it out. Like,
so, like, most of the stuff you like creating is, I guess, in the tourism, travel, outdoorsy stuff. Then is it?
Yeah, naturally I will, because like I'm a very outdoorsy person. And
oh yeah, 'cause I've seen a bit of mountain biking.
Yeah, lots of mountain biking, hiking, running, and that's the thing. It's one of the reasons why actually going freelance benefited my lifestyle.
Right. Yeah.
Because when I was working in Cardiff, I was doing over 3 hours of travel a day to get and come home from work.
Going up through the Rhondda, boy. Bit tight and all the traffic. Everyone coming down from the valleys.
Yeah, it was literally just like, it was just killing me because, I know it's the classic, you leave when it's dark, come home when it's dark, but I was leaving at 7 in the morning, getting home at 7, 8 o'clock. And I had no life, like, really to myself. So yeah, the minute I went freelance, it's just like, I finally was able to prioritize my lifestyle.
Yeah, over
work. Which I think, to me at least, is the most important thing.
Beneficial to you, like,
absolutely.
Especially when you're creating.
Like, even like over money and everything. As long as I can pay the bills, then that's like the most important thing to me. I think a lot of people's goals are to earn as much money as possible. And don't get me wrong, definitely driven by money, but for me, if it was the case of earning, extra money over having time with like friends or doing something that's like hiking, biking, whatever it may be, I'm picking that every day.
Yeah, especially if you can manage your time and throughout the month what you've got coming in, you can work out obviously what days you can leave free for yourself then, can't you?
Exactly. Like the last 2 months maybe, because we're halfway through this month now.
But yeah, it's like the 12th today.
Yeah.
12th today, or actually for you guys it's actually the 19th.
Is that when it goes out? Is it? That's good. So halfway through this month now. Last month my missus is a teacher, so she has the 6 weeks off.
Yeah.
So straight away I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna take some time off then. And looked at what I had kind of worked up until that point, and decided that actually just take some time off. And that is again one of the best parts of being freelance. Just the fact that I can genuinely prioritize my life now over work. And also, like, you still get to have nice things. You still get to have fun and do all these things, but you're your boss. And just.
Would you find the majority of your clients, are they like returning clients? Do you ever, like, what I'm trying to get to is, like, do you have like one-off clients, you've done the project you've done, or do you kind of have like clients on retainers? Like, how do you manage your kind of workflow and your kind of income?
So it goes back to the agencies, really. My kind of, when I first started freelancing, first thing I thought was experiencing it from the other side. We was always pulling freelancers in. I thought these agencies need freelancers. I'm freelance.
I've heard a lot about that. Like, if you can, just get into an agency and you're like,
I've probably got
any room for me somewhere, Tom?
I've probably got about 5 clients maybe,
Yeah.
but they have got
Consistent clients, and then you got your odd jobs on the top.
yeah. But I've got probably 5 clients being agencies that then have
30, 40
exactly
each.
Yeah. So when you kind of think about it that way, it's great.
You only need one of their clients to want a video that month, and you got a nice pay
That's
packet.
it, exactly. From like I got a few agencies that I'm working for. One of them will bring me like 3-4 different brands, like in a week, sometimes in a month. And it does vary, but then they all seem to balance each other out.
Yeah.
Because if one is a bit quieter, usually another one's stacked. And yeah, it just always balances out. So yeah, I think getting in with agencies is probably.
But not the ones in Cardiff, because Tom's got them now.
Yeah, don't go for the ones in Cardiff, please.
Go somewhere else.
There's already enough competition as there is. Everyone wants to be freelance these days. But no, yeah. So yeah, a lot of them are basically returning clients.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. How you've gone around it, you just obviously fallen into that kind of pattern. Because I have seen, obviously, when starting out, you read a lot, you watch, you know, people, how they got into it. Some people do go down that kind of route that you've gone down with the agencies, which obviously seems to be beneficial for you. Or some people go down the route that I'm trying to cement a bit more with clients, is the retainer stuff.
Yeah. I guess the only thing with retainers, and it's something that has crossed my mind, is that as much as retainers are great, you are locking yourself in to and that is the point of a retainer, don't get me wrong. For someone like me, for example, I don't really want to be locked in because another thing, I think it's good to have maybe like 1 or 2 retainers.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, I haven't got like 15, 20.
No.
I'll be happy when I get to 5.
But there's a guy I watch on TikTok, Jordan something. He's all about like freelance kind of client handling.
What was he? He's a content creator of some sort, is he? Or
I believe he's just like some like photographer or videographer, but he's all about handling client comms and like dealing with your client and how to manage expectations and all these different things.
Something I'm absolutely awful at.
Oh mate. And but I watch his videos all the time because he's so good at just like telling you what to say basically. But he put a video out right at the point where I was trying to like work on getting retainers. And basically, I don't know whether you would want to hear this, but he basically explained how having retainers means that you earn less money.
Right, okay.
Because when you're
I'm all for knowledge and...
Yeah, because when you're locking in for a retainer, you're then not having any room to add more work to the portfolio, if that makes sense.
Well, to their portfolio, their retainer you got with them?
Yeah, like if, for me, for example, let's just throw an agency out there as an example. If I've got an agency bringing me 3 to 4 different projects every month, then those are 3 to 4 individual projects that I can quote for.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm giving an agency a one-off figure, don't get me wrong, there will be T's and C's where you'll say that includes this amount.
Yeah.
But let's be fair, we're all out there to get as much value as we can for our money, and they're all trying to just include as much as they can with your time. And I'll have to show you this video, but it is a very good video where he just kind of just talks about how
because I'm still very much in the learning process as well. I think everyone is, I think you just got to keep learning and adapting. But I think the only thing I like about retainers, not advising people to go down that kind of route, it's just that I know I can kind of budget for each month what I'm getting for. I think the thing that I like about the most is knowing how comfortable I'm going to be or how set I'm going to be for the next couple of months coming forward. I only do like a 6-month retainer. So,
and then which is a good amount of time.
I'll re-establish it, or that's the wrong word, but reevaluate the retainer after 6 months.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely consider having 1 or 2 retainers because then, in my head at least, if I had a retainer, I would want it to cover the really important bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think 2 or 3 retainers fundamentally covers your expenses and your living for the whole month. Well, and leisure. Yeah. And then technically all the other all the other additionals you get on top, that becomes like what I like to call my leisure money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have my fundamental bills money and then I have my leisure money.
Yeah. Or if you're just like... Yeah, like me, just like all the money that comes in, you're just like, okay, right, that's that aside. What do we do with this?
I don't even put anything aside. It's go, I just put that into my actual personal account. Thank you. I need to start pulling my finger out though and start obviously putting something aside for the tax man.
Tax man. Are you saving for your tax man?
No.
Oh,
Tax man, I haven't seen a penny yet.
get yourself a good accountant. That's all
I
say.
don't know if he will be seen. I'm using one in Bromell.
Are you?
Fox.
Never you done.
Oh, is it Fox? No, Frosty? Fox.
Don't know.
It is by the traffic lights where the... sorry for people who don't have a clue what Bromell is, but it's by it's at the bottom of the main high street. By the traffic lights, by where
that's funny, isn't it?
the car garage is. You know, backs onto the traffic lights at the back, by where the bus depot is. You know where like the alley is that cuts through? I say the alleyway, you can fit a fucking car down there.
Yeah.
But it's literally by there.
Oh, right,
There's an accountant by there.
Damn, I was looking for an accountant that was local. I didn't go to... mine's actually from Newport? Yeah. I think mine's from there. It's just we flipped.
So you're actually based up in Bromell now then?
I've always lived in Bromell.
Yeah?
Yeah, even when I was working in Cardiff. And again, it comes back to like everyone would always say to me, you should move to Cardiff if you want to kind of, grow the career and all these things. But mate, I'm surrounded by mountains.
I think you've done well with the agency thing to help you get into the Cardiff kind of thing. I don't really have a sniff at all within the Cardiff market because I've never really... Saying that, one of my biggest clients is in Cardiff, but there's only one client there, do you know what I mean? But like, I've never like had any other additional jobs from Cardiff area.
I mean, if you look online and you look at kind of my social presence, what I have got,
traveling outdoors.
I say that I'm based in Cardiff.
I think mine's South Wales.
I do. Yeah. I always just say based in Cardiff because people just, and even if I have a meeting, they're like, oh yeah, can we meet up? In St. David's.
Yeah, they don't know any different.
They don't know any different. I'll happily drive an hour to meet you. Do you know what I mean? Like it's fine. But the reality of it is, I live basically in the middle of nowhere to everyone that lives in Cardiff. Surrounded by greenery and mountains.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? And it just fits my lifestyle though. And again, it always comes back to I try to prioritize my life over work. Going freelance, I think there's definitely the thing of, and I was this person, but like just the fear of not having work, not being able to pay the bills.
Yeah, it can be intimidating and scary at the same time.
Yeah, because also when I went freelance, I had no money at all. But now I don't know, how long have you been freelance or working?
2.5 years, I'd say.
Okay, yeah,
2.5 years.
So roughly the same as me then. So yeah, I'm in my second year now. The end.
Yeah, I think I technically be coming into my 3rd November.
Oh, okay, so yeah, you're longer than me. But going. What was I saying?
Think, Thomas. Think.
What was I saying?
Speaking about like going into freelance and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the fear. So doing it long enough, you realize that you're gonna have months that are really busy, and you're gonna have months that are really quiet. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And you've just got to enjoy it when it gets quiet, because then next month you're not going to have any time to think. And that's literally it. So yeah, when it comes around now, I just trust the process.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the time off, get out on the bike, go for runs, do stuff with the fam. And yeah, that's just how it is. And
what do you think you find the most enjoyable is literally having your free time from being freelance, is it?
Literally. It's... Again, like I'll try and earn money because ultimately I do like having nice new things and stuff. But the fact that I can just have time off and just go to the gym at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
that's mental. Do you know what I mean?
That's where I'm off after this.
Yeah, there we are then.
Especially.
And that's it.
But what I was going to ask you, so back to more like the creating stuff.
Yeah.
I'll see. We're meant to be a creative podcast here.
Yeah. Well, we haven't really talked about creative.
But what was that? Talk me through like some of your projects that you've done. What's one of the biggest projects you've done, and kind of talk me through the process of from like obviously landing the client through to the creative process to delivering it as well.
Yeah. So probably I worked with the biggest client would have been probably like Clog Eye Gold. Which is the jewelry brand, Clog Eye.
Clog Eye Gold.
Clog Eye
if
Gold.
you're doing a Welsh accent, it sounds more.
Clog Eye.
I'm assuming Clog Eye Gold is Welsh.
Yeah. So Welsh Gold. I worked with them for so many years, kind of actually, it was quite naughty, but they also worked at S3 and then they ended up carrying on with me.
Yeah, technically you didn't
I
do
didn't break any
nothing wrong
rules,
there,
so
son.
you know what I mean. But anyway, worked with them for years and years and years. Creating social content monthly. So that was like delivering 18 photos. No video now, just photos. So so working with them, 18 photos, and would basically just do that monthly. They were, for me, were like the, like you kind of want, the security.
Mm-hmm.
There was no retainer in place.
Just trust.
Yeah. Just worked with them and studio shoot. So literally in a room about this big, and just get like 2 models in, give them a load of jewelry,
Like on a white background, black background.
yeah,
typical,
basically,
like,
yeah. And it worked really well because the aesthetic that Clog Eye wanted was clean, white, luxury.
That word is right on the end of my tongue. Then
That's it. There we are.
clean.
Yeah.
Just talk me through the process of that proper, like, well, not proper breakdown, but break it down a bit for someone that's like wouldn't have any experience being on like a shoot, how to work with a client, and
yeah. So they were, because we was working with them at an agency, they were used to the bigger process. Yeah, they was used to working with social media managers,
right,
photographers, basically everyone.
so you'd have a separate job role for. Technically, what we do now, you could split that into like 6, 7 different job roles, from like video editor, photographer to video. But then at the time, they were used to having a specific job role for each.
Yeah, I mean,
role.
at the agency, they would have to go through like 3 people to even get to.
I find that mental.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And that's
Stupid.
another advantage of freelancers, But for this client, for example, there was a small team of. It would be me as a photographer and obviously editing the photos as well. There was a friend, Emily, that would be the social media managing side of it. She would also like come up with like the brief and everything. So she was kind of, for me at least, making my job a lot easier.
Yeah, so she was coming up with like what the actual post would be and what the caption would be,
Yeah.
so then you could kind of portray that in a photo.
Exactly.
Right.
And I would just turn up every month after looking at a brief and shoot the content, spend a day shooting, going off like a mood board, and all the ideas that she's come up with. Sometimes we'd have to change them on the spot, whether it's because an idea just doesn't work or the model isn't what we imagined, or do you know what I mean, whatever it may be. So that was like a classic kind of photo client.
Do they pay well, or
that one paid well?
I've always got like a stereotype, but like a image in my mind that like just photos just ain't earning as much as video content is.
Video earns, I think video earns more money because you can quote more on the on the post-production side. Which is true. So for all my shoot days, it's like a half day of editing or a day, at most, really, and depending on the size of the shoot. But with video, obviously, they usually cost more and earn more because a one-day shoot might need 2-3 days of editing.
Yeah.
If not
especially
more.
if it's video.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So,
So you've taken the photos for this particular client. Talk me through the rest of the process. Like, obviously you got 18 deliverables.
From me, it would just be the case of I would then send them across to Emily.
Mm-hmm.
She would send them to the client. Client would then approve and take away some of the images depending on what, like, we used to try and sometimes they may come back and literally be like, oh, this model's shoulder is probably like a bit more exposed than we'd like, or something ridiculous like that. And then at which point I would usually I get a message from her being like, Tom, can you Photoshop it so that it doesn't look
Your hands on the old Photoshop as well.
Oh yeah. That's like, I could save anything with Photoshop.
Oh, actually, I'm terrible on Photoshop.
Oh really?
I usually just remove backgrounds half the time.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good tool to know because it can save you a lot of the time, and After Effects for video. So literally would just like do that basically. But once I delivered the photos, that was it.
Done.
That was me done for that job, and then obviously Emily would then be being paid for
scheduling the content and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like, say going over to like say a video type of client.
What's the most fun you've ever had on a shoot? What's your most favorite video kind of content you ever shot?
As a freelancer, or
let's talk
just
about
in general?
Or is the more exciting one not about you and it's something else that you shot?
No, I mean, I've always, like, all the work that I've been involved with, I've always been, like, behind the camera.
Yeah.
I do a lot of sports stuff as a freelancer.
Okay.
So turf games. I don't know whether do you know turf games?
No.
One of the biggest, they might rinse you saying this, but like CrossFit events.
Okay. Oh, I know.
UK.
I'm aware
Yeah.
of CrossFit.
Yeah, they're
Can you see?
yeah, so shoot turf games, that one's always like loads of fun because you're just running around filming all day long, basically, like all these insanely jacked people like doing this.
Does it look like you're looking looking at one right now?
Basically, mate, yeah.
Just an overweight, jacked version.
But yeah, so
that'd be quite sick. I like stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff I'd like to get into.
But I do think the reason I'm enjoying that stuff is because I'm not editing that.
Oh, okay.
And what is great, and shout out to the team that I do it with, they just churn the content around so quickly. Because that stuff needs to be posted the same day.
Right, okay.
So I will then be in the role of go out, get as much content
run
as possible.
the SD card back,
run it back,
straight to the laptop.
By the time I'm out on the field, they've already put together
like
15
a reel or
seconds.
something, yeah.
So yeah.
That sounds fun. That kind of sounds quite like a fast-paced environment to work in, which obviously you might enjoy.
Yeah. Do enjoy that. So yeah, that, a lot of car shoots. Obviously, recently, as you brought up earlier, shot with Land Rover. That's like a good example of a fun video shoot that I've been doing.
Yeah.
Was able to basically turn up to the dealership. They gave us access to 4 vehicles that they wanted to cover for that month.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically we decided to just take one vehicle out at a time. They just gave us the keys, took the vehicle out, and then I gave them examples of previous work that I'd done.
Right, okay. Was that to initially get the booking?
No, we had already had the job secured, to be fair. It was just they didn't know what they wanted.
And you just kind of give them like...
Yeah.
I'm running into that issue at the moment. I meant to have a client booked in for Thursday.
Yep.
He's fine when we talk about this, but they're basically a creative agency. They want me to film some stuff for them, but they're like trying to move forward with AI and stuff. It's trying to portray it through video,
Yeah.
but he doesn't want it to be corporate. So I'm kind of in the process now of
Yeah.
banging heads, not with each other, just trying to think of ideas, what we can do creatively to like, kind of thing.
I think that's the most important thing that I've learned being freelance is usually a lot of the problems comes from miscommunication or,
100%. We both agree that we haven't had enough meetings. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like to have more meetings. I've ditched now Thursday I've asked for a meeting to go and physically speak to him to iron it out, because sometimes you'll shoot some sort of content and it'll just be like, boom, content delivered, there you go. But you think, actually, there's an opportunity here for me to shoot this professionally and then deliver this, and it'll look like an ad spec, almost commercial, where, I'm going to use this now on my website as one of my main, videos on my portfolio.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you find, especially with like social content, it can just be like, not that it's shot on a terrible quality, but like boom, snap, chucked up on social media. Do you find you spend a bit more time on producing your content to a better, higher standard? So even if it is going on social media, it comes across as a professional shot video.
Yeah. A lot of the work that I'm doing for social media is usually the case that actually is for like paid advertising,
Right, okay.
which, you are still scrolling on your feed and seeing it pop up, but they want a higher production quality.
So when you're saying paying advertisers, if you're scrolling through Instagram, you'll see like, I don't know, Airbnb and then it says sponsored, and you've created like the video or the content for that. Right, okay,
Yeah. It's just the difference, I guess, of like getting an influencer to quickly film with their phone, for example, like sending them to a certain, like, let's use Airbnb as an example.
Great example. We love a sponsor. We're happy to do the next podcast in Rio de Janeiro or St. Lucia.
As long as you bring me.
Tom can run the cameras.
So I guess for me that would be the case of, okay, I really want to sell this as like luxury. I want, and I guess Airbnb would as well. And in this case, they probably would have slightly more budget to do that, even though it's still for social media.
100%. You see some of the content getting pushed out now, and I'll ask you a little bit, later on, but like the quality is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. It's and like both ways as well. Sometimes you'll see something that's like unbelievable and it looks absolutely stunning.
Crisp.
Yeah, like
So crisp.
bokeh.
Buttery.
And yeah, it's like, the quality of social media ads these days are like as good as TV was, well, better. Do you know what I mean?
I'd say some of the
Yeah.
social ads.
But then also you get the other side of it where like, mobile phones are doing a lot of it these days. And sometimes I'll be honest, I turn up to a shoot and think this would be easier to film on an iPhone. And I think you'd be happier with it as well. But you can't do that because you've been hired as a
because they'll
videographer.
physically see you with the iPhone. They'll be like, nah,
Yeah, exactly.
50 quid.
Yeah.
We're like, no, thank
Basically. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I think there is a place for every single type of person. But in terms of the work that I'm doing, especially for like all the agencies and stuff, a lot of that comes down to, Tom, we want to do a paid social ad for this client. We've got this many models, we've got this much shoot time, and we've got this much budget. Can we do something
Are
with
you
that?
included in that budget, or is that budget for just production alone?
Now I think it's the case that a lot of the clients I work for know my rate. So they already have considered that before they've contacted me.
Right, got you.
But I mean, yeah, it can definitely say, I've absolutely had emails in the past that say, Tom, we've got this much money. What can we get with that much money? And other emails are, we want to do this shoot. How much is it going to cost us?
Yeah, got you.
And I think in both scenarios, you're always going to be, they're ultimately trying to get as much as they can for the money they can.
Yeah.
You're trying to convince them that the rate that you're giving is fair. It's just always going to be that game, but that's the game we play, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Play the game, brother. So yeah, obviously, even though you're you're shooting the social content with the two little fingers, but obviously you're trying to produce shit hot content at the same time, like professional TV ad worth content almost.
Yeah, I think naturally with my career, I was kind of working up to shooting TV ads and stuff. So then when I went freelance, I wanted to kind of keep that quality, if you will, but offer it as a freelancer.
Yeah.
Now, it's a difficult one because ultimately TV ads are the quality that they are. Movies are the quality they are. Not because of the person filming, but because of the entire team that's involved.
Yeah.
The budget, the amount of people that's, in front of the camera, behind the camera, the planning, the post, like it's never and this is something it took me to like quite a while to realize, because ultimately we all want cinematic lighting, and the fingers are up again for the audio listeners, but that was always the goal.
The sunrises, the sunsets, the blue hours.
But I don't know about you, but I've always kind of in the past kind of gone, why doesn't mine look as good as this?
I do it to this day.
Yeah. It's not because of the lighting. It's not because of the lens you're using. It's not because of any of that. It's purely down to the amount of planning and time and production that's gone into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
100%.
So yeah, but as a freelancer, you still can obviously offer something that's a really high quality as a one-man band or, a small production. And that's what I try to do. So
there's a question for you then. Say for someone like me who potentially, I definitely don't feel like I produce. Your quality is ridiculous. It might come down to like cameras or whatever, but saying fundamentally it's down to you and your experience. How do you say to someone like me who has maybe got, the fundamental equipment there, what would you say to me to maybe come up to your level or start shooting more professional content that could be ads worthy? Give me 3 things I could start implementing tomorrow that would help me up my game.
Yeah. First off, I would say make sure that technically you're using the equipment that you've got correctly.
So you saying like, say if like I want a wide shot with taking in the scenery using like the correct lens, like a 16, or you just
could be anything from using the right lens to knowing how to place your light in the right place, because that's a problem that I've seen in the past quite a lot, or I know of causing people issues is you could buy a really expensive light, but if you don't know where to use it and how to what brightness to use it at, because let's be fair, it doesn't always need to be at 100% brightness or whatever it may be. Taking the technical specs and knowing how to use them, ISO on the camera, what shutter speed to be at, frame rate, just all of those things. That's that's one thing that I think you should know.
So first off, fundamentals of the equipment that you're actually operating.
Basically.
Nail it down.
Yeah, get it nailed. Make sure you know what you're actually doing. Don't just go out and spend loads of money on the newest best kit if you don't actually know how to use it, you know?
Love a new camera.
We all love a new camera. But yeah, I guess lenses do fall into that category, but you know, buying a new camera is not going to make your image look better. A new lens will help.
Yes.
No, I'm not endorsing people just go and buy new lenses to make their work look better, but having things like a lower aperture will, you know, somewhat at least sell to a client that this is more than an iPhone.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Because
totally agree
that's
with
what they're used to. They're used to seeing an iPhone with a depth of field of 2.8 that's actually more like an f6 or
If it was
8.
2.8, if your hand's like from your face, then yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
If it hits the
exactly.
background.
So yeah, I think that's one thing that clients always look at and just think, wow, this is better than normal.
Yes.
It's purely just having a nice lens on the camera,
Mhm.
and nice lighting. Second thing, good question. I think nailing the planning stages with your client, and this is something that obviously like you may not always be able to do, but just make sure everyone's on the same page with what's happening and what's going on, because you might film something that looks unbelievable to you and then you show your client and it's not what they expected.
Yeah, it's not what a lot of questions I've been asking now to my clients is, where is this content going?
Yeah.
That helps me build a better picture then.
Yeah, exactly.
So I need to know the end result for this video. So is it going social? Is it going like website hero banner? Is it going advertising or something? Even those little questions help me understand what kind of feel this video is going to obviously portray.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, you do. You have to make sure you know where it's going and just like what the overall goal is for the video.
Just like
yeah, exactly. And this is why I know that with the stuff that I'm creating, I can maybe take a bit more time to make sure something looks good, because you know the goal is that there's money behind it. It's going to be advertised to certain people that need to see the video.
Yeah.
And it's not to keep everyone interested. Do you know what I mean? It's meant to keep certain people interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, and ultimately you've always got to realize that they're hiring you because they've seen your work.
Yeah, it's true.
And just having confidence. I think that'll probably be the last one.
So sum up.
Confidence.
Confidence is 3. So number 1 is learning your equipment.
Yeah.
Number 2 was...
Oh, you forgot.
No, I forgot. I'm waiting for you to prompt me.
I forgot.
Number 3 is knowing what obviously the clients want and what, you know, what the whole, basically the project's going to be about, making sure everyone is on the right page.
Oh, yeah. That was it. Yeah.
God.
God, we're all following me.
Like Nemo the fish. Or Dory, is it?
Yeah.
And then number 3 is just having the confidence.
Just being confident, yeah, because they have... Ultimately, if you're at a point where you're going freelance, you probably know what you're doing with the camera. Yeah, I'd like to think that...
Well, I remember my first ever shoot. I've talked about it a number of times, but I was awful.
Yeah?
Yeah, terrible, absolutely awful. But
again,
you want to stop somewhere, in you.
What made it awful, though?
I was so used to using the camera in a controlled environment that I only knew those settings were for that thing. So when I took the camera outside, I didn't really understand ISO, exposure, anything, shutter, and because I was shooting an outside video of some sort or another, the whole image was blown out completely.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
And I remember trying to do a interview setup from about 15, 20 foot away in a barn conversion.
Echo nightmare.
With a shotgun mic.
Where was podcast when you was doing that in the AI?
I know. That's what I needed at the time. And but obviously it was my first paying client, and that's you only need one to kind of get you know, dip your feet in the water to try and get you pushing forward.
Yeah, literally. You no matter who, you know, everyone that you probably would look up to, they've all got that shoot that they look back on and think, oh my god.
Yeah, you can laugh at it.
Yeah,
you can laugh at it now.
Yeah, exactly. And also like you got to think it probably looked bad as well because you probably wouldn't be paid that much to do it.
Yeah, £100.
Yeah, there we go.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I mean? So it's not necessarily just your fault.
Here's a question I'd ask you. I won't ask you too many more questions. I know you're very busy. But what do you think about doing like not free paid work, but say if you want to build a certain portfolio, you don't have a portfolio yet in place, would you recommend some people saying and going to do free work?
Yeah. Yes, I do think free work is helpful if you've got nothing behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think free work can be helpful if you want to try and change the market you're working in.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
But again, you haven't got anything there to prove that you can do it. I'm even now, like 2 years into my freelance career, probably like 5 years into my overall career, I'm still, and I can't touch upon it too much, but I'm still doing free work to build something else.
Relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so free work's always going to be something that people dabble in. We just call it passion project so that it doesn't sound like you're doing it for free.
A passion project.
Yeah.
But so you've dabbled in doing a side passion project now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not fully against them at all. I definitely, like you said, I think you're very correct in saying if there's a different industry you want to chase that you may be stuck in one, but you want to chase another, I think it's definitely good.
Yeah. But I will say that if you've got a client saying that, if there's work coming in from someone that's, you're considering doing it for free, but you've done it before,
mm-hmm.
I don't think you should be doing it for free.
Yeah, I think free work should only ever be done if it's a passion project you're interested in and you're reaching out to them. If they're reaching out to you asking for the free project, then I'd say no.
I'm fully,
unless like you had something sick, like say my biggest dream that I'd love to do, because I'm a big rugby fan or like, traveling fan, is, like the Lions documentaries they do, and they go, right, we want to fly you over to the next tour, I believe is in Australia or New Zealand, and, we want you to, we'll pay for your flights and all and your accommodation, but technically you won't be paid to be a cameraman. But that would be my dream. That's the only circumstances I'd then look to do that.
So that's the thing. So in those situations, I think as long as you feel you're getting value from what you're doing, then it may not be a bad thing. But if I was in that situation, I'd probably say, okay, usually I would be paid for these opportunities. And also, I'm going to fully say that the fake it till you make it thing is so real when it comes to this like business. Like, in that situation, I think I'd probably say something along the lines of, I've been paid to do this multiple times, and
100%. They're not going to know any different.
Exactly. But I would probably try and get more value out of it by saying, okay, looking at my situation, saying, okay, well, can I get an all day out of this? Can I maybe bring someone with me so that I'm not just there to work, but actually I can enjoy my time as well?
Yeah.
Always try and get something from it so that you're not just literally wasting your time. Because ultimately you could do that job and it leads to nothing.
Yeah.
And then
if you think it's going to benefit your portfolio in a big way, then I 100%.
Oh yeah, that's it. And that's why I always say, like, if there's a client that, you've got your dream client and you want to work with them and that's the work you want to do for the rest of your life, and it means that you got to do a couple of freebies to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
What did I ask you? Obviously I don't want to keep you for too long, but
good, mate.
What do you reckon the future holds for you? Kind of give me your aspirations and goals. Kind of what kind of projects you got in the pipeline that you maybe can't give too much information about, but you're looking forward to, and kind of where you kind of see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. So, to put it straight, in the next 3 to 5 years, I think I'll be more than just me.
So you want a production company of some sort, or you want to be like an agency?
Not necessarily. It's a tricky one.
Or you still want to be you? Do you want to be?
Yeah. I guess the issue is at the moment my business is Tom Lee Creative.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't think it'll be Tom Lee Creative. I do think there's advantages and disadvantages to my business currently, because I know for a fact that I win over work purely because I'm me. Bragging rights. But just more so like, sometimes people don't want the production company.
No.
They want to work with just one person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very clear if you look at my stuff that I am one person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think alongside being freelance, I'm currently trying to work on something bigger. That will definitely come to light in the next, hopefully, year. Should be.
But if it depends, you'll have to tell me if you can off camera. Depending how big it is, we'll get you back on. Yeah, you can announce it to the world when we've got thousands of followers on this podcast.
Exactly.
But 3 to 5 years, you want to kind of maybe start creating a a company of some sort.
Yeah,
Then.
yeah. Just a bigger company rather than just little old Tom the freelancer.
Yeah, like big to me, I'd be happy with five
Yeah.
5 people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just
And that's
nice,
the thing,
nice
though.
little team.
It's a weird one because I actually never wanted. As soon as I left it,
The agency
I
world.
didn't want to go back to
Yeah.
having a team. There are advantages to working with people, and it's
100%.
one of the reasons why I'm trying to do that now. But yeah, without giving away too much, that's kind of the plan. Is to build just a bigger company, if you will.
Yeah.
And then the only other plans that like goals and aspirations that I have really is just to. It sounds really cliche, and I hate it, but it is just to enjoy life way more.
Yeah.
Honestly, since I've been freelance, that's all I've tried to do is just use it to do the things I want to do.
Gives you more flexibility to
Yeah.
actually have a lifestyle. What was I say to you? What would your biggest kind of top tier project be? Like, if you could pick out your top client, top job, what would it be?
So it's all in the outdoor adventure market.
Right.
For me, it would be your Under Armours, your Nikes, your Adidas, those type of companies.
So, like your running kind of stuff, or like outdoor, like your mountain running, that stuff, or your athlete kind of track stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal would be to almost be doing these things while filmmaking, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, the goal is always for everyone, I think, to make your job not feel like work, and then do you know what I mean? But for me, if like I do a lot of mountain biking, I film a bit of mountain biking, and when I'm filming mountain biking, it's the best day ever because I'm so into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
and that's kind of what I want to do with every project.
Guess that's like me if I got that Lions gig, you know?
Yeah, there we are. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why maybe
it's never good enough to be a professional rugby player, but that's technically, from my point of view, that's the closest I could get to it, like with what I do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
You might want to be a professional mountain biker, but you might not have the minerals to do it. But the closest you can physically get to that is maybe shooting like the world championships That's how I kind of see some of my goals.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some people want to be a football player. Might not have made to be a football player, but you could be the content or social creator for your favorite team.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, that is definitely what you can do, to be fair.
What are you going to do? Sorry, cutting you off. What are you going to do to try and get those aspirations? And
that's what comes into the other company, isn't it?
Oh, well, the company, you can't tell me about the company you'd like to have maybe in the future.
Yeah,
basically. The one you can't tell. Don't tell me, but.
Yeah. It's just happening, basically.
Oh, cool. Well, I look forward to
yeah.
I'll definitely have to get you on to plug away when it's out in the open, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see like content pretty soon because I'll definitely still post about it now before the bigger thing is out, I guess, or happens. But and then also like the only other goal really is I want to do more of the YouTube stuff.
Do you want to be a YouTube influencer?
A YouTube Peter McKinnon type
the Welsh
person.
version.
Yeah, the Welsh piece. Basically I think I want to just try and grow the YouTube and kind of maybe
it's technically another source of income as well.
Yeah, basically.
But it is hard graft.
Yeah, but also I do think like it's so possible to do. I think most people can make it happen.
You are freelance
if they try. That's it, exactly. So yeah, I think those will be like the three kind of things happening. The freelance, and hopefully they all fall into each other. Freelance, company, YouTube. Hopefully it's kind of a big circle where it's all kind of one cycle.
Well, it sounds like I'm going to have to get you back on then when you've released this news because it sounds potentially very exciting.
Yeah, it could be good. It will be good.
Well, fingers crossed. If people are obviously looking to check out your content and kind of follow you on this path, where can they check you out?
So my website is just Tom Lee Creative if you want to see my work. But then in terms of social media, my social media is not only just my social media, but it's also somewhat my work and where you'll see all the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And that's just Tom Lee Parsons. It's just my name.
Nice.
There's no work account. I made one, didn't use it, give up. And I'll probably change that. And, but it's good because I've never turned up to a shoot where people do not know who I am exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every time I turn up on a shoot, people know exactly the type of person I am, what I've been doing, and And yeah, it's great because you turn up to a shoot and everyone's like, "Oh, I've seen you was out on the bike on the weekend." And I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah, sidetrack for that. I say sidetrack, but annoyingly, I didn't use my personal one. I just call myself Cole Videography. And now I feel like I've stuck myself in just videography where I can take pictures as well.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a pain.
That was the issue I had, to be fair, and that's why I just said creative. It's just such a cliche.
I don't know if I can change it now.
Yeah, but your account is sick, so.
Well, let's get there. Well, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming on.
That's all right, mate.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You helped me with the audio as well. We had a little bit of a pickle at the beginning, didn't we? But it's just a stupid mistake by me not turning the gain up on the
I didn't think he was going to say. I didn't think he was going to call yourself out.
I don't mind slating myself. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
That's all right, mate.
Good luck with the rest of the year. I look forward to seeing your content. And yeah, definitely like to have you back on to
absolutely.
see what the crack is next
Sweet.
year. Pleasure.
Nice one, mate.
Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.